like that which I experienced as a child when some unusually ghostly tale had been told. I cannot begin to tell the mental suffering I underwent during those days. In course of time it wore off, however, and I soon began to take a more sensible view of the situation. I remembered my old fears and suspicions, and, besides, I was inclined to be skeptical, even in the face of the evidence of my own eyes. I have always been a practical man, with little or no sentiment, and it now stood me in good stead. I could not bring myself to believe in the conclusions which were arrived at. It did not seem possible for Dr. Jekyll, or any other man, to accomplish what Jekyll claimed to have accomplished. It was contrary to all nature. It was simply defying the laws of God's universe, and I could not believe in it. I was filled with a fast-growing conviction that there was something more, something which had escaped us, and moreover, that something was the key to our situation. My old suspicions returned with renewed force, and I determined to satisfy myself once and for all. I believed that in the past of the creature Hyde lay enlightenment, and diligently, yet secretly, I set to work to find it. I visited the office in Soho, but found an office and nothing more. There were chairs, a table or two, and some old periodicals, nothing else. Then I turned my attention to Jekyll's home and Hyde's quarters, which had been closed since the death of these men. For days and weeks my search was unavailing, and I had about given up, when finally, one afternoon, after I had spent most of the day in the cabinet where Hyde died, I entered the handsome room that was Hyde's to rest. I leaned carelessly against a wall near a mirror for a moment, when all at once I felt a rush of cold air, and turning with a nervous start, I saw the mirror slowly swing inward, disclosing a dark passage floored with marble slabs. I was startled, and it was several moments before I gained courage to take a candle and explore the passage. It was like entering an ice house, and I had scarcely taken 3 steps before I was suddenly thrown violently forward on my face, extinguishing the light and leaving me in total darkness. I scrambled to my feet, thoroughly frightened, and rushed back into the room, where I stood panting, awaiting the danger I was sure would follow. But none came, and I picked up my courage, and, relighting the candle, cautiously entered the passage. Then I discovered the cause of my fall. It was simple enough. One of the diamond-shaped slabs on the floor was loose. I stepped upon it, tipped it, and consequently was instantly tripped up. How I laughed at my superstitious fears of a moment before, and what a hollow, mocking sound the marble walls sent back. Stooping, I was about to replace the slab, when I noticed loose earth, upon which was scattered bits of torn paper, still fresh and white. Scraping away the loose dirt with my fingers, I soon laid bare a piece of cloth, wet and clammy, and I became aware of a faint stench. In less time than I can tell it, I was out of the house, and making my way to the home of Poole, Jekyll's old butler. Quickly telling him of my discovery, we were soon back again with a shovel and hoe. I cannot go into the details of that next hour. My worst fears were realized. There, by the pale, flickering light of the candle, the hoe and shovel laid bare before us a sight the horrible ghastliness of which will haunt me to my dying day. That night, Poole and I, in company with an undertaker, laid away to its rest in a quiet spot in the cemetery all that remained mortal of Harry Jekyll. On the dead man's breast I found the manuscript that follows. Confession of Edward Hyde. My name is Edward Gorman Hyde. I was born in New York, 1840. I came of a good family, and am a graduate of Columbia College. My people were wealthy and influential. I had plenty of pocket money, and consequently was a wild youth. Owing to financial losses, followed shortly by the death of my parents, I was compelled to seek out my own livelihood while yet a young man. I had always had a passion for the stage, and even as a boy had displayed much talent in that direction. Naturally, I drifted into the profession, and with small beginnings, in the course of a few years, I made a name for myself in character portrayal. But my old vices of the college days clung to me, and with returning prosperity, I gradually drifted into the old ruts. What with hard work and dissipation, I soon wrecked my nervous system, so much so that I could not go through my parts with the old vim. Then it was that I took the step that wrecked my life. I resorted to opium to quiet my nerves and help me with my stage work. Night after night, I infused new temporary life into my veins with the aid of the cursed drug. As time went on, I found myself taking it at frequenter intervals. And finally, if I neglected to make use of the opium less than 3 or 4 times a day, I suffered untold agonies. The end is only too evident. Gradually, my powers slipped away from me. I drifted from one stage to another, each time a little lower. My little hoard of money, saved from my brilliant days, was soon gone, until one never-to-be-forgotten summer, I found myself without friends, money, or home. I became a miserable, wandering wreck of humanity, sometimes an object of pity, more often of kicks and contempt. Then, when it seemed that life was scarcely worth the living, and I almost longed for death, would to God it had come! Help came in the form of Dr. Jekyll. It was in this way. I had been tramping around the upper part of the state of New York. Toward the close of a hot summer day, I entered a small village not far from New York City. I solicited a supper, and then wandered about in an aimless sort of way, till long after dark I found myself near the tavern, and I determined to ask for a lodging for the night. There was a group of men on the porch, and I went around the side to the back. There was a light on the ground floor, and as I passed the open window, I thought I heard a deep groan, as of someone in pain. Stepping to the window, I looked in. There on the floor lay a man writhing in awful agony. His eyes seemed about to burst from their sockets, and his tongue, swollen and purple, lolled out of his mouth, while his bloodless fingers spasmodically grasped at the carpet. Jumping into the room, I knelt by his side and tried to quiet him. It seemed to me that he was dying, but I was powerless to help him. I was about to leave him and go in search of help, when I noticed that he tried to reach a bottle standing near on the carpet. Failing, his eyes sought mine. I understood, and it was but the work of a moment to get the bottle and force some of its contents down his throat. The effect was instantaneous. His muscles relaxed their rigor, and his eyes closed. He lay perfectly still,